Man, my sinuses, they're killing me. That's all right. You'll have to deal with me sounding strange for this entire episode. Blech. So I wanted to get into this San Francisco school board removing 44 names from schools. All right. They're talking about Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. And this is on the back of the school unions and the school boards basically being psychopaths and holding parents hostage. So there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed in public education. I'm sure you know this and agree with me. But instead, this is what they worry about. San Francisco does this. This is how they indoctrinate our children, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they indoctrinate our children. So while parents can't go back to work because their kids are stuck out of school, they figure just changing everything to be PC and totally on board with critical race theory and all of that crazy bigotry that the left is pushing out. That's more important than getting our kids back to some semblance of normalcy. Remember what the left always says, never let a good crisis go to waste, even if it's a manufactured one. Folks, this article's from Breitbart. From Penny Star. That's a hell of a name, huh? Penny Star. Penny Star. Yeah, that's a pretty good name. All right, Penny. 27 January 2021. All right, San Francisco School Board removes 44 names from the schools. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Let's read. Schools in San Francisco, California will be stripped of names honoring famous American leaders deemed unworthy because of a connection to slavery or other unsavory ties, including Presidents George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson. Look, John Muir, Francis Scott Key, the guy that wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, and Catholic priest Junipero Serra are also on the list. And all 44 schools will be renamed. Even as critics of the decision cite, the committee tasked with picking the schools did not receive enough input from historians and a lack of knowledge about current school names. Remember, like half of the country doesn't even believe in the Holocaust anymore. I'm serious. Isn't that crazy? I found that out. And I almost lost my stuff. Seriously, I almost lost my cookies. I was about to lose my chocolate chips and my Oreos. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a cookie problem. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm relating everything to cookies, but maybe I've been thinking about white chocolate macadamia cookies all day. I've been trying to eat better, so I've been cutting down on the sugar. So I'm daydreaming of cookies while I'm telling you about all of this crap going on. This is crazy stuff. While parents are pissed at these schools, right? Parents are furious at school systems and at school boards and at these unions that are holding people hostage, saying they're risking their lives, which is BS. Which is absolutely BS. One thing I will agree with is, as horrible as COVID-19 has been, all right? As horrible as this weaponized China virus has been, okay? It is nowhere near as bad as the crisis they're making it out to be, and they're punishing parents and children for it. Kids are killing themselves, ladies and gentlemen. They're killing themselves, and they do not care. Quote, in one instance, the committee didn't know whether Roosevelt Middle School was named after Theodore or Franklin Delano. The San Francisco Chronicle reported. They don't even know. They're not including historians. They're not looking at records. These are people put into positions of power who are just making crazy decisions, like Joe Biden signing a bazillion executive orders for all kinds of crazy stuff in the last week, right? Doesn't even know what he's signing, doesn't know what the hell's going on, and these people don't know what the hell is going on. They're just changing it because they want to seem less racist, because they have a different definition of what supremacy is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an attack, and this is how it works, okay? Despite concerns that the city has more important issues to address, including the coronavirus pandemic, rampant drug overdoses, and an ongoing homelessness epidemic, the city school board believes it can handle multiple issues, including erasing history from the halls of education. Folks, let me show you something real quick. Look, this is San Francisco, ladies and gentlemen. You see that? Look at that. Yummy San Francisco, all right? Yummy San Francisco. Ridiculous. I like this meme, though. Isn't it funny? Take a look. Thank God California banned plastic straws, right? Insanity. Look, the homelessness. There's actually an app. Did you know this? There's an app that tracks feces in San Francisco. Like, you know where the homeless people are pooping so you can avoid their bathroom for the day. Nancy Pelosi runs San Francisco. I just want you to know that, all right? And that's also where the Vice President Kamala Harris, that's her place too, San Francisco. They're all coming from that place in Forrest Gump where Jenny did all that crazy stuff. San Francisco, ladies and gentlemen, the home of insanity. Absolute insanity. These folks are literally erasing history and indoctrinating our children, all right? When they don't grow up with this information, when they can't ask the question, who was this person? They don't care about those people. And then you get more of these folks that are running around like they are today. You know who I'm talking about. Man bun, effeminate. You know what's going on. You know exactly where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. I don't really care about those woke PC folks on the left there, all right? There is a ridiculous dumbing down and feminization of males in this country. And there's a ridiculous indoctrination and dumbing down of females in this country. It is happening, all right? And it is planned. Okay. And that is what they do. That is what happens through social media. That is what happens when they change the names of schools. That's what happens when they change our history and they sell it to our children. And parents are so busy trying to make a living and keep a roof over the head that they don't notice that the schools are turning their children into freaking communists. All right. Your comrade children are going to sell you out to the Lord Emperor Biden. Okay. If you don't watch it. So be careful. I wish I was joking. Don't you wish I was joking? I wish I was joking. The Chronicle reported on the controversial move, which also includes stripping the school named after sitting Senator Dianne Feinstein, because as mayor, she replaced a Confederate flag that was vandalized at City Hall. Folks, your pasts are not safe. Oh my God, they're going to find all of the naked pictures I've sent throughout the years. Oh God, did I say that out loud? Never mind. The months-long debate garnered national attention with former President Donald Trump tweeting about it, stoking an ongoing culture war that has intensified in recent months. Many San Francisco parents, as well as Mayor London Breed, is that a stripper? London Breed? Sorry. London, coming to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for London Breed. Argued the effort was ill-timed given the pandemic and the impact on children, especially students of color, and the fact that students are not even in the schools subject to renaming. Some criticized the board Tuesday for focusing on symbolism rather than the urgent reality facing struggling parents who are approaching a year in distance learning, with many struggling academically, socially, and emotionally. Kids are killing themselves. That is true. That is happening. It is documented, and the renaming is likely to be costly. It's unclear how much the district will spend on new signage, repainted sports fields, or gym floors, athletic band, or other uniforms, and other administrative costs, like the cost to have men's stalls put into female locker rooms, because now Biden's basically allowing any dude that decides he's a woman to compete in women's sports. So that might cost some money too, but that was probably already happening in San Francisco. And we're not even going to get into that. That wasn't even meant to be in this. I just sidebarred right now, but it's just because it's ridiculous. All right. There's going to be terrible sexism in sports now because of what Joe Biden just did. And the renaming, all right? The renaming, they said new signage, repainted sports fields, gym floors, all this crap. Based on other districts across the country, it could cost San Francisco at least $1 million to rename the 44 school sites, and potentially significantly more. The district faces a significant budget deficit, which could reach $75 million next school year. The board's Tuesday night agenda did not include items related to the academic or health impact on students or about reopening schools to the youngest or most vulnerable students. You know, that reminds me of something. I'm actually reading a book right now, and at the end of it, we're going to probably talk to the author, do an interview, do a few things. But in this book, they talk about the deficit of California, the debt, and possibly states going bankrupt and what that could actually mean for this country. And it's pretty terrifying. It really is. But I'm not going to spoil it. After I finish the book, we're going to talk about it a lot more. But look at that, 75 million next school year. All right. There's a deficit just in that district of $75 million. Imagine owing that much money, ladies and gentlemen. It says some of the school names have been opposed long before the cancel culture effort, including James Denman Middle School because Denman wanted to deny Chinese students a public education, and Adolf, Sutro Elementary, named after a man who discriminated against blacks. You know what the problem is, though, folks, and the left always disagrees with this, but the problem is that when you erase this, after a period of time, people forget, and human nature is not as nice as people like to think, and these horrible things repeat themselves. That's why we keep these things named. That's why we don't tear down our statues, because remembering the past is very important to our culture, to our future, so that we don't repeat the same mistakes and we honor the right people and we remind us of the other people, the people that showed us the right way through maybe the wrong tactics. And then we know not to do those tactics ever again. People forget, folks. 50 years goes by and look what's happening right now with Black Lives Matter and critical race theory, all this socialist stuff. 50, 60 years went by, the Cold War passed by, all of this stuff passed on, people forgot, different histories were taught, and now the things we would expect to see in Soviet Russia are happening here in America. That's what happens when you forget. That's what happens when you change the schools. The board also unanimously voted to issue a formal apology to Native American families for land theft and the pain and trauma caused by racist imagery, textbooks, and mascots, while allocating $200,000 to the district's American Indian Education Program. I don't know if that's good or bad. All I can say is that most people I've talked to from other countries and Native American folks, people like that, they don't care about that anymore. They just want fair policies. They want to be treated right today. All right, the past is the past. Most people don't have a connection to that anymore, unfortunately. A lot of people in the Native American community do, but a lot of folks just want the fair shake, and that's what everybody deserves, a fair shake at the American dream. The board will also require the school district to remove all Thanksgiving stereotypes, such as headdresses, and to remove misinformation from textbooks. Who gets to decide what that information is, that misinformation? That's something else to talk about, including that Pocahontas was a willing and curious prisoner. I guess they were there. The San Francisco School Board voted to change the following school names. Balboa High School, that's Spanish explorer Vasco Núñez de Balboa. Abraham Lincoln High School. Mission High School, that's Mission Dolores. George Washington High School, first president, of course. Lowell High School, the poet and critic James R. Lowell. James Denman Middle School, the founder of the first school in San Francisco. Everett Middle School, Edward Everett, that was a statesman. Herbert Hoover Middle School, James Lick Middle School, he was a land baron. Presidio Middle School, San Francisco Military Post. Roosevelt Middle School, they don't know. Theodore or FD, who knows? Lawton, K-8 U.S. Army officer. Henry Ware Lawton. Claire Lilienthal, that's the San Francisco School Board member. Paul Revere. Oh, Paul Revere's a bad guy. Excuse me, because, you know, he believes something back in a day where everybody believes something. Sorry, you got to backdate the future, apparently. I don't know how that's going to work. Doesn't work too well for these school names, huh? The Alamo Elementary, a popular tree or the site of the Texas Revolution battle. Alvarado Elementary, Pedro de Alvarado Conquistador. Bryant Elementary, author Edwin Bryant. Clarendon Elementary, second community and Japanese bilingual bicultural program. Edward Hyde, Earl of Clarendon, English. politician. El Dorado Elementary, the mythical city of gold. That might be racist against El Dorado, I guess. Dianne Feinstein Elementary, U.S. Senator, former San Francisco mayor. I really don't give a crap about that one. Garfield Elementary, James Garfield, U.S. President. Grattan Elementary, William Henry Grattan. He was an Irish author. Jefferson Elementary, Thomas Jefferson. Francis Scott Key Elementary, Star Spangled Banner. Frank McCoppin Elementary, he was a mayor. McKinley, that's from William McKinley, that's McKinley Elementary. Marshall Elementary, James Wilson Marshall, he was a sawmill worker at Sutter's Mill. Monroe Elementary, James Monroe, U.S. President. John Muir Elementary, he was a naturalist. Jose Ortega Elementary, he was a Spanish colonizer, and I guess colonizing is white supremacy, so bad white supremacist Jose Ortega, Spanish colonizer of the white supremacies. Sanchez Elementary, Jose Bernardo Sanchez, he was a Spanish missionary. Junipero Serra Elementary, Spanish priest. Sheridan Elementary, General Philip Sheridan. Sherman Elementary, General William Tecumseh Sherman, he burned down Atlanta, of course, he's an evil racist bastard, so they're going to remove him too. God help us if we ever remember our history. Commodore Sloat Elementary, John Sloat, Navy officer. Robert Louis Stevenson Elementary, author. Sutro Elementary, Adolf, I keep saying Adolf, I don't know why. Adolf Sutro, San Francisco mayor. Aloha Elementary, Don Antonio de Eloa, Spanish general. Daniel Webster Elementary, U.S. statesman. Noriega, early education school. Unclear, apparently. They have no idea. Presidio EES, it was a San Francisco military post, and Stockton EES. Robert F. Stockton, Navy Commodore. Folks, they want to change all these schools, and to most people, they don't seem like a big deal, so they're hoping people don't raise a stink about this stuff, but it's a very different time. It's a very interesting time where parents have had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to see behind the veil, see what has actually been happening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the tiny interactions that count, because with these names gone, the opportunity for alone single students, and what I mean by that is individual students. I should have just said individual, but individual students can go up to teachers and they go, hey, why is this school named Junipero Serra Elementary? And then they learn something about history. They learn the good and the bad and the ugly. This creates curiosity. It creates children that grow up to do great things. Erasing our history creates subservient robots. Just what the Bidens want, ladies and gentlemen, just what all of these Marxists want. And you know what parents want? Parents want things to be fair. Parents want things to be taken seriously, ladies and gentlemen. Parents want the right education, the right social atmosphere, the right balance of love and discipline. They want children to learn. And not learn to be a Marxist or a communist, but learn to be a patriotic American, which, according to the left, is a racist. So, folks, I apologize about that. Just know that racist has nothing to do with color of anybody's skin nowadays. If you believe in the American dream, you're considered a racist by the left. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. It's not actually true based on the real textbook definition. But welcome to the club. It sucks. Folks, this is what parents think. Take a look at this. This is a frustrated parent. I'm not sure exactly where it is. I had a hard time looking and finding it, but I wanted you to see this. Here.
You should all be fired from your day jobs, because if your employers knew that you were more inefficient than the DMV, you would be replaced in a heartbeat. I literally just finished a conference call because I'm having to multitask to be here to address you guys. You're a bunch of cowards hiding behind our children as an excuse for keeping schools closed. You think you're some sort of martyrs because of the decisions you're making, when the statistics do not lie that the vast majority of the population is not at risk from this virus. The garbage workers who pick up my freaking trash risk their lives every day more than anyone in this school system.
This dude's pissed.
Figure it out. or get off the podium. Because you know what? There are people like me and a line of other people out there who will gladly take your seat and figure it out. It's not a high bar. Raise the freaking bar.
So he's absolutely right. But first I want to say something. I just felt like I was going to get punched in the face. That dude's pissed, and probably rightfully so, because the school boards across the country aren't opening up in these blue dominated areas. They're not opening up. They're hiding behind our children. They are a bunch of cowards, and they do need to be replaced. And that is an example. I have people emailing me all the time. What can we do? What can we do? You have the right to speak at town halls, ladies and gentlemen. Go speak. That gentleman did, and it was the right thing to do. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and thank you for watching that clip. Folks, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much that we're going to be going old school and finding ways to hit the street in a town or city near you. What do I mean by hit the street? I mean street team, folks. Old school 90s lanyards, pamphlets, stickers, and there's going to be a special surprise for all those who participate. Folks, if you want early in to what you're hearing, if you want to know more about what I'm talking about there, do me a favor, email me directly, JamesLane at AmericanReveille.com. That's James Lane at AmericanReveille.com. There's going to be a very, very special secret benefit to those who want to participate. Besides that, head to the website. You see it right there on the screen, www.AmericanReveille.com. That's www.AmericanReveille.com. You see that big green button? It says sign up. Hit that button, folks. Sign up for the American Reveille newsletter. Sign up for Project Underground Railroad. What this is going to do is, while Parler's down, while everything's a fritz, while people don't know what up is and what down is, what left is and what right is, I'm going to give you some daily updates, keep your mind in the right track, the right frame, keep you headed in the right direction, and update you on how we are organizing, working together, and building a coalition of like-minded individuals. Folks, big things are coming, and they are going to be magnificent, and I want you to be a part of them. So please, please, please keep informed. Sign up for the newsletter at www.AmericanReveille.com. If you're still with me, if you still want to help out, do me another great favor. Head over to Rumble, folks, www.rumble.com, and find me there, American Reveille. The name itself is American Reveille put together on the channel. So American, REVEILLE, if you search for it. One word, all right? American Reveille. And subscribe there. We're trying to build a base there. We're trying to get off YouTube and some of the other places that are cutting our distribution. We've already been shadow banned off of Facebook, off of Twitter, off of everywhere else. But folks, I'm not some kid. I'm not some quitter. I'm one of you. I'm a blue-collar, white-knuckle American, a calloused hand, hard-working SOB. And they ain't going to kill me off of that easy, folks. So we're going to go old school, like I said, and we're going to have more news about that coming very, very soon. Again, thank you so much for watching that great clip, and make sure you tune in next time. Bye.